I majored in journalism as an undergraduate, and upon graduating from college a long time ago, got a job as a reporter on one of the daily newspapers in the New York area. I was assigned to cover local government, and I did on that newspaper for 2 years. And I realized that I could write a good story, but I didn't have a great understanding of the workings of government. I hadn't studied government, I had studied writing. And so I decided to do a master's degree in government at NYU in order to have more background. I enjoyed it so much that I kept going, and in 1974 I earned my PhD in government. And I then reevaluated my career and decided to try my hand at teaching, and found a position on the faculty of Long Island University in Brooklyn, where I remained for 13 years. When I made the transition from journalism to academia, I took a pay cut of approximately 25%. I had already married and started my family and needed to earn money on the side. And so I took a cue from my new colleagues in my department and looked for consulting work. And I soon found that I had a niche as a grant writer who could write grant proposals that would win money for clients. My background as a newspaper reporter was very helpful in that regard, because many of the skills needed to be an effective grant writer are the same as those that journalists use. I could tell a good story, which is critical. Effective grant writing is not simply technical writing, but human interest, telling the story of an organization and of people and their needs in such a way that the funder can relate to those needs and decide that funding this project rather than competing projects is a high priority. I can also meet a deadline, interview for information, and fit it into a limited space as the funder demands. When I was a reporter, I'd go out and cover a story, and I'd come back to the newsroom, and my editor would say 8 inches, which is approximately 250 words. And when you write a grant proposal, you also have space limitations, sometimes 3 pages, sometimes 10, and sometimes 25, but never unlimited. And it's never quite enough to tell the story as you'd like to tell it, so you have to be selective, write very compactly, and make your case. For the next 15 years, I wrote grants as a sideline to my academic career. In 1990, we moved to Des Moines, Iowa for lifestyle reasons. I gave up my full-time faculty position, and I started a very successful grant writing business that employed about 6 people. And we wrote grants at first for clients in the Midwest, American clients, and starting in the mid-90s we became international. And I did grant consulting and grant writing for clients in about 10 different countries around the world. During that time, I developed a relationship which is ongoing with WANGO, the World Association of NGOs, and it's through WANGO that Dr. Equo and I became acquainted fairly recently. In 2010, by 2010, our children, we have 4 of them, my wife and I, had grown up and all moved out, and 3 of them settled in the New York area. And my wife began to badger me to move back to New York because we weren't seeing enough of our children. So we packed up, came back east a year ago, I was very fortunate in finding a full-time faculty position at Rutgers, and with the permission of my dean, I'm continuing my consulting practice on a somewhat more limited scale. The process that we're using today is a process that I've used for many years and very successfully with NGOs and public organizations. And this is the process. When clients come to me, generally, and I'm not reflecting on CMPI because we haven't yet started, but typically the question I'm asked is, can you get us some money? Can you win some grants for us? You can't ask a funder to give you money unless you have a project that's worthy of being funded. That's a basic rule. Simply asking for money will get you nowhere. You need to have a project that is important, that's significant, that meets real needs, and that's very compelling in order to have a chance of being funded. And so the first step in winning a grant for a client is to identify those key projects that will attract a funder's attention. I'm here today mostly to listen and for you to talk so that we can develop a vision of where CMPI and the Diaspora Media Forum are going, what the greatest needs are, how you see yourself 5 or 10 years from now after you've been the beneficiary of some grant funding, how the world or your corner of the world will be improved as a result of what you do with the funder's money. Once we have that vision, which I hope will come together today before we leave at 8 o'clock, I will do some research and identify the most promising funding prospects for those projects. I hope that we'll leave today with a consensus on 2, 3, or 4 initiatives that your organization would like to take over the next several years. I'll be able to research them. I have access to very good databases and hopefully to find some promising funding opportunities. Once I've done that and submitted that report to your organization, we can agree on which of those opportunities you wish to pursue. I can either write the proposals for you or with you, or if there's someone here who feels comfortable writing a grant proposal, there's no obligation to continue with me. The agreement that Dr. Ekwo and I have right now concludes with my providing a report identifying the most promising funders. I'd be delighted to go on from there, but as I said, there's no commitment or expectation that I will. And so I'm going to stop speaking now and let Dr. Ekwo chair the meeting, and I'll butt in with questions throughout the meeting and listen to your answers so that I can learn about your vision for the organization. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's an open floor, actually. I sent this copy to all of you. I believe you guys got it, and if you can also review it, maybe it kind of will provide a springboard for us to start our conversation. Or if you think we can just discuss freely, that's fine. So, how do you proceed?
Could I ask Michael a question?
Okay.
Briefly?
Sure.
In what areas do you have, I'm assuming that you're going to tell me in many, but in what areas do you have background in grant procurement? And if you want to tell us, because I respect your interest. And also, where do you think opportunities? And I don't expect a detailed response. And I don't know if you want to answer me now.
Yes, I'll be happy to answer you. I have no secrets from you. The area in which I've been most active over the years has been in grants for education. Education taken broadly, ranging from formal public school, primary, secondary education, higher education, adult lifelong education, and specialized education and training. And I think that that probably fits with some of what your organizational interests are. And I've won many grants. I also have a great strength in grants for technology, which may be something to help you communicate and do your work effectively. I have written in my career approximately 500 major grants. I define a major grant as a grant of $100,000 or more. I've won grants ranging from several $1,000s up to $10 million. Most of the work that I do is larger grants because it takes just as much work in general to win a small grant as a large grant. And so it's much more cost effective to go after a larger one, consistent with the capacity of the organization. If a small organization were to ask for a multi-million-dollar grant, it would have little credibility. So there has to be some scale between the organization that's applying and what it's asking for. But I've written approximately 500 major